Y'all, welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we're diving into a very important topic, and that is waiting till marriage and why God calls us to wait till marriage, and why I personally am waiting to marriage, and why I think you should as well, and I think all people should. And I'm going to talk about this in a Christian aspect, but also in just a common sense aspect of why waiting till marriage truly is the way that God intended it, and truly the best thing that we can do during our time here on earth to set us up for the best possible relationships long term. And I think this is also a super important conversation in our generation, because I think obviously lust has taken over our generation in so many ways. And I think especially when it comes to waiting until marriage, a lot of people have thrown that out the window, even in the Christian space. And I think people don't value it enough as they should, because I do think that waiting till marriage is one of the biggest gifts and blessings that God has given us during our time here on earth. So I'm going to give you guys my experience with it. Why I ended up choosing to wait till marriage, and actually re-wait till marriage, because I did not wait till marriage originally, but now I am re-waiting, and I'm going to dive into that as well, and how you can re-wait till marriage, and you should re-wait till marriage, and that's actually what God calls us to do if we have failed or if we have fallen in the past. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. But I want to just start off by just talking about how sex is actually a beautiful thing that God gave us for a reason, and actually to bless us. It's actually an incredible thing. So these desires and these feelings are not a bad thing. And I think a lot of people get that misinterpreted, but where it gets wrong and where it gets a problem is when it's done outside of the way that God intended, and when it becomes lustful. Because lust and love and having sex out of lust or out of love are two very different things. And I think a lot of times, if we look at the original design, and even if you just look at it logically, right? Like when you have sex, you are literally becoming one with this person. You are literally have the ability to create life. And that is one of the most powerful and biggest miracles that God has given us on this time, during our time here on earth. And it's something that is so sacred, and it's something that is not meant to be given away or to be done so casually. And I think if we just thought about that logically, and I think those who have experienced this, they know the connection that comes with it. They know the power that comes with it. And I think especially when it's done out of love, is something that is so beautiful and so powerful, and is not meant to just be used and done casually. It's something that's so deep and so spiritual, and something that is meant to be something that lasts forever. And you're not meant to do this with someone and then do that with another person, and you're meant to be with that person forever and to be connected to that person forever. And I think that that's such an important thing that we need to understand, is that this is very serious. It is a very serious thing. And for those of you like myself who have fallen into this temptation, you need to take the time to heal from that, because it does take healing. It is a very serious thing, but you can be healed from that, and you can change, and you can be reborn fully, truly reborn. I truly feel reborn from that. And I can make a whole separate video on re-waiting in specific, and why I think that's super important. But at the end of the day, having sex before marriage is sin. And something that I like to think about, because a lot of people say oh, biblical marriage isn't the same as documented marriage in the church, and that if you love someone, you can sleep with them and all these different things. But something that I like to think of is that if you're not open to life, that is a sin. Meaning if you are having sex with a condom, or you're using contraceptives or whatever it is, that isn't how God intended it. That's not being open to life, which is one of the biggest and most important things when it comes to having sex. And one of the most beautiful aspects of having sex is being able to create life, and being able to bring life into the world, and to build God's kingdom through that. And that's what we're put here to do, to multiply. But we're meant to do it the right way. We're meant to do it by waiting for the person that God has for us, and choosing to love that person forever, and building a family with that person that will last forever. I just think if you thought about this logically, imagine if we did it the way that God truly intended, which is ultimately going to lead to the best possible society. That's going to lead to the healthiest children. That's going to lead to the healthiest relationships. If you just think about it logically, imagine if we actually did it the way that God intended. Meaning, the only time that we ever experienced something physically this intimate ever in our lifetime was on our wedding night with the person that God had for us, and that we're going to be with for the rest of our lives. Imagine that connection that you would have to that person if that's what we did, if we truly did it the way God intended. And obviously, it's so difficult. It's very difficult, and it's not easy. But imagine if we did that. Imagine how strong your relationship would be. Imagine how strong your faith would be. Imagine how amazing those children would grow up to be if that was your only experience. And that was the only time you ever felt something like that, was in that moment. And it's a bond that is so beautiful and so amazing. But the problem is, when we do it with so many different people, that connection becomes lower and lower. It becomes tinted. And the more that we do that, the less we're able to actually fully bond, and the more trauma that we carry with us. And I saw this one thing where you literally carry the trauma. Like, it is so deep that you literally carry the trauma of the people that you do this with, and like your souls almost become connected and tied. And like, that is so real. It is a very real thing. And it's something that we need to be educated on and be aware of, because I feel like it's not talked about enough, and that's so damaging to your future relationships. It's so damaging to yourself and to your own soul and to your relationship with God. And that's where lust is such a dangerous thing, because it clouds our minds. It clouds our minds and doesn't allow us to look at people with true love, and it doesn't allow us to feel God's presence as much in our life and to feel God's voice or discern God's voice versus the devil's voice in our life. And that's one massive reason why I think waiting till marriage is so important, is not only that connection that you are going to build with your future person, and obviously that God literally designed it this way. And another massive thing when it comes to waiting till marriage is a lot of us, and I would arguably say 90 to 95% of relationships today are driven more by lust than actual love. And the thing is, you can't actually know if you truly love someone if you did something that deeply intimate with them before you even got to know them, because it clouds your mind, it clouds your memory, like I said, where you get so connected to them physically that you're not really there emotionally as much, and you ignore the red flags in a person, you ignore the other signs. And if there wasn't lust involved, if there wasn't sex involved, you probably wouldn't want to be with that person, and you probably wouldn't like that person. And I've experienced this in my life, like in a lot of ways, and it's a very dangerous thing. And that's how powerful it is, that it can literally make you connect with someone that you probably shouldn't be connected with. And that's why you'll notice constantly like these people who go back to their ex even after they cheated on them, or go back to these situationships or whatever it is, because they're so tied to them physically, even though they know that this person is not their future husband, not their future wife, whatever it is. Like, this isn't a person that God would want in their life, but they are still just so tied down to that person because they did something physically with that person before they actually developed a relationship emotionally. And that's why I think God designed it in that way, where we get to know someone emotionally, we connect with someone on a deep level emotionally and love them emotionally before we bring in the physical aspect. And the physical aspect is there to deepen that connection and also to bear fruit, to spread life to this world. And that is something that is so beautiful and so powerful, and we overlook it like crazy, and we think it's way too casual. So I think if you can learn to control your lust, if you can control and be able to wait till marriage, I think it's one of the most powerful things that you can do, especially like as you're trying to pursue your God-given purpose, and as you're trying to just become the best person that you can be, because you're not going to be distracted with all these women or all these men, and you're not going to have those temptations as much because you're focused on the things that truly matter, and that's becoming the best man or woman that you can be for your future person, and saving something that's so sacred so that you can have the best possible relationship that you can with them, and to do it the way that God actually designed us to do it. And I promise you that it'll all be worth it, and that connection that you will have with your future person will be so much better than if you decided to do all these different things and fall into these different temptations. And I also want you to know that if you have fallen into these temptations, that there is healing that can be made, and that God can heal anything, and that you're never too far gone for God or whatever else it is. Like, you can heal from these things, and it takes time. It takes a lot of work. It may take a large season and time with God of really working on yourself and really diving deep internally and healing from these things, but you can be healed. And I promise you, waiting till marriage is just so clearly how God intended it. And if you can't see that yet, or you feel like you don't have the strength to do that, pray for that. Pray for discernment, and God will make it so clear for you. Like, that's what I prayed. Like, a while ago, I couldn't imagine waiting till marriage. I was like, there's no way I'd be able to do that. I even got to a point where I was like, yeah, I think it is what God intended, but I just don't think I'd be able to do that. But as I prayed for that strength, as I prayed for that discernment, like, now I couldn't imagine it any other way. Now I couldn't imagine not waiting till marriage. And like, I feel like I have so much strength to wait and so much motivation to wait. And that's how crazy, like, God, that's what God can do. And that's the healing that God can bring you. And he can bring that to each and every one of you. So I promise you, just wait till marriage. It'll be worth it. And if you're waiting currently, like, stay strong, keep doing your thing. Don't put yourself in tempting environments. And I promise you, it'll all be worth it. And that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys made it to the end of this video, I want you guys to put a steak emoji. Actually, no, not a steak emoji. Put a lemon emoji. down below, because that lets me know that you don't have a trash attention span. So I appreciate you guys making it till the end. If you want to support our mission, you can join the Generation Revival free community. We have live calls in there. You'll automatically be entered into the free giveaway that we're having for our next launch that we're planning on doing in November. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. And together, let's save our generation. And always remember, Jesus got you. I'll see you guys.